This is the Authentic Change Podcast, and I am Mike Horne. Authenticity reflects what we want from each other and our organizations. Open communication, trust, community, fun, and opportunity. I want to help you to do your best in your personal and professional relationships. This podcast delivers expertise, insights, and approaches on authentic leadership, to live your purpose, to lead from your values, to establish connected relationships, to steward people and culture change, to build and sustain prosperity, and to open doors and possibilities. This podcast will assist you in paving the way forward to personal, team, and organizational prosperity. Welcome to another edition of the Authentic Change Podcast with Mike Horne. I am absolutely delighted to have in our studios today Dr. Jacquelyn Bergmann and Jason Stubbers. And Stubbers, I'll get this right. And I'll let Jason take care of that in his introduction. Today, we're talking all things organization development. So for everyone in our audience, tune in to hear from two leading practitioners in the organization development community, particularly as we promote and discuss the 2022 annual conference, of which Jacquelyn is the chair for the Organization Development Network, happening in Orlando, Florida, June 8th through 11th. We'd be delighted to see you there. I know I would be, and I'm assuming that Jacquelyn and Jason would be as well. So just as we begin, I'd like to have Jacquelyn and Jason introduce themselves. So Jacquelyn, why don't we start with you?
Oh, hi. Thank you. I am just delighted to be on here with you guys. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I am Dr. Jacquelyn Bergmann Mastriani, and I started my career in education and then moved into organization development and did my research in the neuroscience of workforce agility. And this has just been a wonderful opportunity to work with so many wonderful OD practitioners to put together this conference. I think it's really going to be very unique because we're in unique times, and that calls for something different in our conferences. And I will pass this on to Jason.
Jason, welcome.
Thank you, Mike, and thank you, Dr. Bergmann. Good morning, everyone. My name is Jason Stubbers. I am the strategic advisor for this year's 2022 ODN International Conference and past conference chair for the 2021 conference. And just to introduce a little bit about myself, I actually started my career out actually in music as a vocal major, but quickly moved into the healthcare field in the area of business operations and fundraising and development. And then moved into getting my degree, my Master of Science in Org Development degree from Pepperdine Grazie Business School in 2012 and graduated in 2014 and moved into working in higher education. And now I work for an amazing in a national healthcare nonprofit called Compassion and Choices, where I am currently the senior strategy associate. So working on, which we're actually a brand new team in our organization, working on leading national strategy for our organization. So, I'm really incredibly excited about this year's conference and having it gone from traditionally an in-person conference over the years to last year a fully virtual conference because of the pandemic into a hybrid conference. So like Jacquelyn or like Dr. Bergmann said, we're definitely in different times and which calls for definitely a hybrid approach so that our international community can definitely take in all the good happenings of this year's conference. So with that, I will turn it back over to Mike.
Well, thank you so much, Jason and Jacquelyn. And again, welcome to both of you. Jacquelyn, as the chair of the ODN 22 annual conference happening in Orlando, June 8th through 11th, the theme for this year's conference is Humanizing the future of organizations. Can you tell me how the design team chose that theme and what it means? And then, Jason, maybe you could follow up after Dr. Bergmann describes choosing the theme. Maybe you could describe what it means to you personally. I mean, having co-chaired the conference in the past, how does this have meaning for you? But let's get to the origin story. Jacquelyn.
Well, the origin story is basically we took a look at the trends and the things that the World Economic Forum had said were important and trending themes. And from there, what really came to light is that we have to focus on human needs within the organization. And I think so often in the past, we focused on the processes and the productivity. And now in the post-COVID world, things have changed. People's mentalities have changed. What people want from their jobs have changed. The amount of time that they're willing to give to their job versus their free time has changed. And what we found as well into digging into the statistics is that stress is at an all-time high. And we have to find a way to help people rebalance in this new post-COVID world. And so that's kind of where we really focused our attention is on mental health issues in the workplace, making sure that you can build a culture and a team in a virtual atmosphere, hybrid working, things like that are more centered around human needs versus the productivity or the overall profitability of an organization. How can we make people enjoy their jobs? How can we make people feel less stressed at work? And what do we need to do to meet their needs in this new working environment?
That is such a noble ambition. People are at the heart of the enterprise. And it's something that I think is so neglected and why we might be needing wholesale change in our managerial practices in organizations. Absolutely. Jason, how about for you? So I'm sorry, Dr. Bergmann, please.
No, I just wanted to kind of extrapolate on what you said. People are at the heart of everything that we do. And that's what we need to focus on is making sure that our people are happy and healthy and able to balance what we're asking them to do in the organizations.
That's
and
great.
Thriving.
Jason, how's this have meaning for you? I mean, given your role with the Organization Development Network and your leadership experiences in running the conference, how's this resonate for you, humanizing the future of organizations?
Yeah, thank you, Mike. As Dr. Bergmann was talking, I kind of reflected back on last year's conference theme, which was evolving with impact. The future is now, and definitely the future is now. And I think one of the things that's so important, like both of you were just saying, is that the people are at the heart. They are the lifeblood of the organization. And so I think this year's theme, the Humanizing the Future of Organizations, is actually it's in great follow-up to last year's conference. And I think really focusing on, how do we bring that human element back into organizations? I think nonprofits, do that a bit better kind of overall than corporate organizations. And so I think there's a lot that corporate organizations, when it comes to humanizing the organization, can learn from the nonprofit field and really look at what it takes to make their employees comprehensively happy, so that they have good retention rates and have good experiences for their employees, and really looking at what does a leader need to do if they take a step back to providing that human experience for their staff. And so one of the things that I'm really looking forward to at this year's conference is looking at how this is all going to come together, all this great content, from our plenary speakers to our concurrent speakers, on really bringing out the theme of humanizing the future of organizations, and then how, ODN members are going to take that back into their organizations.
It's really amazing. And I, having been a co-chair of the conference 2 or 3 times, I know that it's more, it's a full-time job in addition to all of your other pursuits. So, thank you for carrying on this legacy, which must be, how many years has the Organization Development Network Conference been at play? Probably at least 50? Yes, I think 50 years, because at least 50, because several years ago, the 50th anniversary of the ODN was celebrated. But anyway, this is the 22 annual conference. It seems to me offers a few things that are unique and would be of value to our listeners, both leaders and consultants. It offers education, it offers professional development, and it offers a great networking opportunity to meet people who are doing things in the heart of organizations and as consultants and as internal practitioners. So when you come to the Organization Development Network Conference in Orlando this year, you'll be able to stay at the forefront of organization development practice in both its in-person and virtual components of this conference. So really looking forward to a lot in terms of how we humanize the future of organizations, just as Dr. Bergmann and Jason described. So as the conference opens, there are a couple things that caught my eye in terms of the opening of the conference. And one was something called the Creative Decompression Chamber, and the other was called the Movement and Meditation Studio. So I think I understand movement and meditation and how that would be so beneficial after many people travel and have stress. But Jacquelyn, can you tell me about the Creative Decompression Chamber?
Absolutely. The Creative Decompression Chamber is, it's basically a space. It's a quiet space where people can go. We have the relaxing music. We have different things that they can do that are hands-on, like the mandala coloring pages. We have those. We have a large wall that people can contribute and work with together to do the coloring. We have actual Play-Doh and modeling clay. And neuroscience has found that these activities actually act to decompress people. And we wanted to be very cognizant of providing these kinds of services to people because we are in that post-COVID world. And many people have been working from home for a long time. Now, all of a sudden, they are going to be flying, they're going to be traveling, they're going to be at a conference with a lot of other people. And that can be very stressful, especially if you're an introvert and you've enjoyed this time at home, all of a sudden to be thrust into that. So we wanted to make sure that we provided a space where people could go into there, have their own quiet time while they're still physically doing something and listening to that kind of music. So that's that space.
That's so great. I always love learning about new technologies in organization development. And I think about this as one of those physical technologies, creative decompression. It reminds me of, two former mentors who described the check-in as the oldest and best methodology in organization development. And I like how this extends it, as Dr. Bergmann described, the Creative Decompression Chamber. Jason, how about for people who are going to experience the conference virtually, for those who will be attending virtually? What's that like? How do you imagine that fitting into the overall scheme and flow of the conference?
Yeah, that's a great question, Mike. And, coming from a fully virtual conference last year, right, to a hybrid. So, we're trying to make the hybrid experience the best possible, within the resources that we have. So, any speaker that's going to be in the main ballroom will be live streamed. So, those will be all the plenary speakers. It'll be one of the rooms for one of the concurrent sessions. So they'll actually get a lot of the great content that's actually being presented at the conference, as well as there's going to be the Event Mobi app, which was the platform that we used last year. So they're going to be able to interact with all the great happenings on the app that's going to be live. There's going to be a voting section for the 2023 conference theme, like last year.
Great.
So they'll be able to involve themselves with that, involve themselves, in messaging, other conference attendees, sending messages to the different speakers if they have questions. So there will be kind of that full service per se on the Event Mobi app for folks that attend virtually, as well as seeing the plenary speakers and the one concurrent session that will be in the main ballroom throughout the conference.
That's amazing. So when the conference opens up on Wednesday, June 8th, folks will have the opportunity to be in Orlando with their colleagues or to continue or to participate virtually from any location in the world. It's a great way. And one of the beautiful things about the Organization Development Network Conference, at least for the last several years, I believe, is that it opens with the Social Impact Day. And one of our colleagues, Cindy Miller, I know, was very engaged, along with others, in creating the Social Impact Day in prior conferences. Can you speak to that a little bit, Jason, Social Impact Day and what that is, or when it happens on June 8th?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm actually going to turn that over to Dr. Bergmann because she's actually been more involved with the planning of this year's Social Impact Day. So she has more of the richness of what's going on with Social Impact Day this year.
That's great. Let's hear about it, Jacquelyn.
Great. Thank you, Jason. The person in charge of our Social Impact Day is Erin Garland, and she does an amazing job every year. She goes out and recruits multiple nonprofits from around the country as well as locally to wherever our conference might be. And she has them send in their proposals for particular problems or challenges that they might be having in their organization, or even directions in which they would like to go, but aren't quite yet able to do that. So she brings them in, and they get the opportunity to work with multiple OD consultants to create a plan of action and do a quick organizational analysis and get them on their way, move them in the direction that they need to move. And it's just a wonderful service that OD offers.
So amazing. And as on Wednesday, June 8th, as we're in the pre-conference mode before the full conference opens, there are going to be some amazing speakers and two amazing speakers and two amazing topics. Steve Goodwin talking about culture, and Glenda Ayoung on if OD has a future, what is it? I can't wait to hear about that. At the recent International Society of Organization Development and Change conference a few weeks ago that I attended in Chicago, there was a lot of conversation about the future of organization development, as there has been since the 1960s. So it's great to continue to see these topics alive and well, and with great presenters. I've often felt that the field of organization development isn't for people who like a lot of straight lines and rigid edges, that rather, we're a community and a discipline that has a lot of raggedy edges. We live out our values, our humanistic values in organization development by creating diverse ideas and diverse people around us. We grow inclusion. And I'm sure that value comes through the 2022 conference, how we create inclusion, how we build participation, to spread messages of creating democratic institutions, just as Lewin did many years ago, prior to the founding of NTL in Bethel, Maine. So on Thursday, when the conference fully gets underway, and we've got all these great ways for people to connect to each other, whether you're a newcomer or you are part of a resource group to the network, Fan Chen Cox opens the conference live stream, Tell Your Story, Change the World. What's that about? Jason, Jacquelyn, either of you?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and take this.
Okay.
Fanchen is just amazing. We brought her in because we wanted to definitely reach people at the conference and virtually in terms of recognizing and understanding the importance of change and meeting human needs in the organization. And in order to do that, we not only had to give them the roadmap for how to do change, but to reach their hearts and knowing here's why change is necessary. So Fanchen has worked with people at the Academy Awards. She's worked with multiple stars on creating diversity, equity, and inclusion within the organizations. She's worked with them in terms of creating organizations where everyone belongs. And that's what our real focus is. As a matter of fact, that's one of our subtopics is creating a workplace where everyone belongs and leading the human-centered organization. Those are two. And Fanchen really speaks to the heart of the matter. And then our follow-up, our next plenary speaker goes right to hey, here's how we did it. And so we're engaging the heart and the head in creating change. And
that's great. Talk about that next speaker too. Talk about the next plenary speaker.
The next speaker is Pedro Suriel, and he's the VP of Raymond James in St. Petersburg, Florida. He's VP of DEI, and he actually came in and created a wide-scale organizational change of diversity, equity, and inclusion. And when we say diversity, equity, and inclusion, I think it's important to understand that what OD practitioners are really talking about is where everyone belongs, where everyone is valued, and where everyone has an input. And he is going to give us the nuts and bolts of here's how I did this through change management. Here are how we engaged our employees, and here's where we're at now. So Fanchen engages the heart, and Pedro is going to come in and engage the head and give us the nuts and bolts. And the nice thing about this conference is that sometimes you get speakers that talk about the theory at the high level. Sometimes you get speakers that talk about the practice. What we've really worked with here is creating a space where each of our speakers are going to go from theory to practice and practice to theory, back and forth, so that you can see the whole piece of the puzzle.
That's great. It's so wonderful, Jason, that there are so many opportunities to meet leaders in the field of organization development. As I think about the concurrent sessions that are happening on Thursday and Friday and on Saturday, I think about this is a great opportunity to meet folks such as Dave Jamieson, Fred Miller, Bill Rothwell, and many others. What's it like having that experience, Jason? Getting to choose among so many sessions that occur during the conference. Can you just say a little bit about what those opportunities are like?
Yeah, that's a great question, Mike. And over the last couple of years, we've just seen such a surge in the number of folks that have, organization development leaders and practitioners who have submitted their applications to be concurrent session speakers. And it definitely is not an easy process on the design end to really to choose, because it is a double-blinded process. So we really, value that that integrity in our, in how we put the concurrent sessions together. And so, I just have to say that, there's the richness of, that head, that scholarly type of content from the, celebrating the 75th anniversary of the T Group. That's going to be presented as one of our concurrent sessions to stuff that's more on the really on the practice level. So it's like our concurrent sessions really will feed into whatever you are seeking to get from the conference, whether it's that scholarly theory to that practice to, really bringing back some of the greats to really hear their messages. So we're super excited of all the rich content that we have in our concurrent sessions, as well as our plenary speakers that Dr. Bergmann was just talking about.
I am so delighted to be a concurrent session speaker at this year's 2022 Organization Development Network Conference. And I'm going to let you in on a little secret. I take advantage of the networking opportunities at the Organization Development Network Conference. And I really take advantage of them by rarely attending concurrent sessions and hanging out in the lobby and connecting with colleagues I haven't seen for a year. In this group of colleagues with whom I hang at the Organization Development Network Conference, we say, it's time for other people to do this and have an opportunity to speak. And I think that's one of the really wonderful things about the network is creating a psychologically safe space for people to be present as they are. So for those who love the networking and the lobby events, such as myself, we find our experiences and shape our experiences and expand our knowledge of what our fellow practitioners are doing in the world of organization development. So in addition to these fabulously rich experiences that are offered through the concurrent sessions, not to forget the opportunity to network with so many of our colleagues from around the world this time. It seems that the Organization Development Network Conference has an increasingly global audience and global membership, and you must be delighted about that.
Yeah, absolutely. And we really, Mike, took a great opportunity last year, being in the pandemic, right? There are some positives that came out of the pandemic, one of which really looking at the design of the conference. And, how do we truly make this an international community and global conference? And, one of the things that we inserted last year in our conference that actually Dr. Bergmann facilitated was our international panel with our international OD affiliates. And that really brought a great global voice to the ODN annual conference. And I think it really helps to reshape the conversation of how do we include our global affiliates more into the work that we do at the Organization Development Network. So, Dr. Bergmann, I don't know if you have anything else that you would like to say on that, but I really do feel like that was a turning point for us last year, really including that international affiliates panel.
Yeah, absolutely, Jason. And I think the word inclusion is key here, because I think that is at the heart of OD. We are professionals who look to get all of those different perspectives and be inclusive. And I think that OD panel, the international panel that we started last year, is going to become a yearly staple at these conferences, because we're all connected. All of us are connected. All of our organizations are connected, and our nations are connected in some way. So what happens over in Europe affects what happens here. And those trends are global. And I think you see that global trend in the speakers that we have this year. We have Dr. Noémie Le-Pretel from the World Economic Forum. And that's something new, is to include the World Economic Forum speaker at an OD conference. But they just flow together. And we have Dr. Edgar Schein and Peter Schein from NTL and Dr. Jameson from NTL. They're going to be here speaking. They're global speakers. And I think that you're really going to see that international trend continue.
That's amazing. It's such a great thing. And in addition to all of these great speakers, and I think we've highlighted the plenary speakers, there's a lot of other fabulous stuff that happens at the conference, including having an opportunity to interact with a lifetime achievement winner in the Organization Development Network, to see folks who are awarded for outstanding achievement in global work, an outstanding article of the year, and it'll be articles for the Organization Development Review, Sharing the Wealth, Emerging Practitioner, Outstanding Regional Network Awards, Service to the OD Network. So many great opportunities where our colleagues are showcased for their efforts to the network. And again, picking up on this theme that both of you have described, this is a great time to get involved in the Organization Development Network, to continue to be part of a community that is changing the world and humanizing the workplace. Are there other aspects of the conference, Jacquelyn, Dr. Bergmann, and Jason, that you would highlight to the listeners?
Yeah, one of the things is, our annual exhibit hall of our exhibitors and sponsors. And, this amazing annual international conference would not be possible without our sponsors. So I definitely, would love to send a shout out to all of our amazing sponsors that we have this year, and to really come visit them at the exhibit hall throughout the conference. And, like you said, Mike, the annual awards ceremony, which is happening on Friday evening at, I think it's 5:30 to 8 p.m., followed by a new thing that we're doing this year, which is the 80s dance party from 8 to 10 p.m. And I'll turn it over to Dr. Bergmann if she wants to highlight any additional highlights.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Jason. I do, because we have so many wonderful things going on. We have our speed networking. We're going to have speed networking on Wednesdays, the first time we've offered something like that. And our conference experience team did an amazing job this year, just amazing, led by Faith Attica and Dr. Patty from Romania. So we've had an international conference planning team this year, and I think that's made all of the difference. With our speed networking, people are encouraged. It's going to be like you have so many minutes and then you have to get up and move, but you meet so many people in 1 hour. You get to exchange the business cards or the QR code from your LinkedIn and really try to connect with people that you want to meet up with later on in the conference. It's a way to get a real quick flavor of everyone that's there. We are also going to have our welcome reception. Ron Banerjee did an amazing job helping plan this, along with Faith and Dr. Petty. Again, just an amazing job this year. And this year, we're really incorporating music. We've got a drum circle coming in this year, and how music is such a human aspect of who we are. Music, movement, and how you can use this to build teams and collaboration. It's a real different feel this year, real hands-on. And we tried to include all of the arts this year because that's part of humanity, and that's our theme.
Oh, that's great. And Jason, that'll appeal to you as well. I mean, with some musical education and music background as well, I imagine.
Yeah, no. And actually, it's interesting how the drum circle part came up. It was a part that Dr. Bergmann, presented in one of our conversations, and, which really kind of turned on the light bulb for me, because in my master's program, I did my thesis research on drum circles in comparison to a famous OD model of appreciative inquiry. So my thesis theme of drum circles as a team building intervention is actually really coming to life, unbeknownst to me. And so it's really good to see the arts being intertwined with History's Conference. We did it a bit last year, but I think we're bringing it more full circle this year. So, a big shout out to Dr. Bergmann for bringing that into the conference this year.
Oh, that's amazing. That's great. So just as we begin to wrap up, there's so much about the conference that we won't be able to cover in our brief podcast. If people want more information, I think the best place to go is odnetwork.org, odnetwork.org. Look for the conference. You'll find everything you can about registering to participate either in person or virtually. how about a brief comment from each of you about why Orlando and what's great about the location and what's the incentive to go, in addition to all the great stuff that happens in OD?
Well, in addition to the conference, you have Disney World, MGM Studios, Universal Studios. There is just so much to do. It's a great city with great energy and just a lot to do, and great weather. Let's not forget the weather. And that was just an amazing place, full of sun for us to have our conference. And Jason, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I totally agree. Orlando is a great place with a lot of great energy, great weather, lots of great things to do that are going to be close by to the conference hotel, as well as, I think a lot of great outside activities that, if folks who connect to the conference and they want to go out and have a, great meal, an adult beverage, just kind of see the sights of the city. I think it's a great place to do that. Plus having the nice weather. And, historically the conference has always been in the fall. So with the pandemic, that kind of changed the trajectory of when we're doing the conference, at least last year and this year. So we'll definitely have that nice weather, not too hot yet, but that nice, comfortable weather that folks will be able to enjoy themselves.
Oh, that's great. Let's make sure that everyone visits odnetwork.org to find out more about the conference and to find out more about Jacquelyn and Jason. I'm sure that you can find their profiles on LinkedIn. You'll see their names in the show notes and on the title. So take a look for them on LinkedIn, both active contributors to the organization development field, both leaders in our field and playing important roles in what we do in advancing the theory and practice of organization development. So lucky to have these two wonderful and amazing people as colleagues who are doing so much good for this community and for the workplaces we help along with our clients to change and to humanize. Are there other contact points, Jacquelyn or Jason, for either of you in addition to LinkedIn? Folks can always reach out via email to me at stubbersj2010@gmail.com. And that's Stubbers, STUBBERSJ2010@gmail.com. That'll be great. For more information about the conference or about organization development, Jason would be a great person to be in touch with. And Jacquelyn, how about for you?
Yes, they could reach out through my website, synergistictransformations.com, and they can reach out through that. And I'd be more than happy to answer any questions that they have. Thank you, Mike. I so look forward to meeting you in person at the conference.
Yeah, this will be great. And again, everyone, please visit Jacquelyn and Jason on their LinkedIn profiles or via email or Jacquelyn's website. And please visit odnetwork.org to learn more about the conference. And it says we'll all be there in person. We're looking forward to seeing everyone there. And again, once again, thank you so much, Dr. Jacquelyn Bergmann, Jason Stubbers. It's been a delight. Until the next episode of the Authentic Change podcast, stay well.
Thanks for listening. And I hope you'll subscribe today and tell a friend about our show. If you're looking for hands-on help to increase your success through authentic change, or have a question you'd like to hear me answer here, please email me at mike@mike-horne.com.